This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation of an offer to buy or sell securities. SNN Network, SNN Inc., and the Planet MicroCap podcast and the representatives are not licensed brokers, broker-dealers, market makers, investment bankers, investment advisors, analysts, or underwriters. We do not recommend any companies discussed. We may buy and sell securities in any company mentioned and may profit in the event those securities rise in value. We recommend you consult with a professional investment advisor, broker, or legal counsel before purchasing or selling any securities referenced in this podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to a very special episode of the Planet MicroCap podcast. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and joining me right now is a frequent guest, friend, colleague of the show, and also our lead sponsor for the upcoming SNN Network Canada virtual event happening January 6th and 7th, 2021. Go to canada.snn.network to register and check out everything that we got going on. And without further ado, founder, editor of Small Cap Discoveries, Paul Andreola. Paul, what's going on?
Hey, Bobby. Good to see you, man. How are you?
Oh, good to see you too, man. I'm just glad you're not sick of me yet. This is good. I can appreciate. I think we got something going there. As long as you're not.
It'll take a while.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I figured, let's level with the audience and just say, look, yeah, we're here to promote the heck out of our upcoming event. We want you all to show up and check it out and see what we got going on for you. Because in my humble opinion, we have a pretty epic lineup of not just presenting companies, speakers, agenda, but I'm so excited. How excited are you?
I'm super stoked here because obviously, I've got a good idea of who's showing up and the companies that are presenting, and I'm looking forward to hearing what some of these companies have to say. I know some of them very well, so I know they'll be well received, but I think we've put together one of the best lineups I've seen, certainly as far as Canadian microcaps. So I'm very excited, Bobby.
Same here. We just put out the initial companies. We're recording this on December 9th. We just put out the initial companies list this morning, and some of the feedback already has been really quite incredible. Just like epic lineup. This is sick. And, look, we're just trying to put together the best show that we can, and as we said, we're here to promote the heck out of it. So, but in our way of promoting the event, I wanted to give a little bit of perspective because, there may be some people that are listening in or watching this right now that are like, who the hell is Paul Andreola? Why should I know about Canada, microcaps and small cap discovery? So, Paul, I figured let's give them a little perspective. What's so interesting about the Canadian microcap ecosystem and why we wanted to put an event together like this to showcase that?
Bobby, I've been at this for a long time. Some of your audience might know who I am and maybe some of the stocks I've been involved with in the past. And I focus almost 100% of my efforts on finding Canadian microcaps that do well. And we've consistently been able to do that. And I think the reason for that is that it's a true Canadian, or it's a true microcap market, and microcap markets have a lot of inefficiencies. Everything from the fact that, it's predominantly, call it retail investors. So the professionals aren't, down market where we operate a lot. And then the Canadian market, is almost extra inefficient because, we've been predominantly a resource-based market. We predominantly, diggers of rock and taking out oil out of the ground, stuff like that. So when you get a lot of these non-resource companies, you get a lot of there's not a lot of expertise around these things. So investors have a harder time understanding. There's less analyst following, a lot of things like that make pricing inefficient. So you combine the fact that there's a lot of less professional investors, in the space, and the ecosystem or the institutional ecosystem isn't really geared towards it. You just get a lot of great prices. And then what typically happens is they grow up, they get a little bit bigger, and they uplist into the US market. And then you've got the more professional players that come to play, and you get this rapid increase in pricing. So it's just a phenomenal place to be fishing for mispriced and sort of unusual opportunities, and we've done well by it. So I'm excited, and you can tell I'm not usually. Some might say I'm not excited enough, but we're excited about the opportunity to showcase some of these companies, because there's really some great companies that we think the world needs to see.
So my next question then, when we're talking about the infrastructure in Canada for small micro nano caps, I mean, the one thing that's really interesting about the TSX Venture and CSE and TSX in particular is that they're truly venture exchanges. It's not, you're not seeing as many reverse mergers like you do in the US. You're seeing companies doing direct listings and then having access to capital. And just the infrastructure is really pro company, especially for some of these higher quality companies to go public earlier in their life cycles, which has always been, it's been one of those things that I'd say has been the biggest complaint amongst, core microcap investors over the last few years. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. So the argument typically is that, I've heard that in the US, companies wait a lot longer before they go public, whereas in Canada, sort of the venture capital industry isn't as robust and mature as you guys have down in the US. So what happens is a lot of these great little companies, they're thirsty for capital, and because the typical venture capital money isn't quite there, they go public a lot sooner. So the average retail investor has access to a lot of these great little companies at a lot earlier stage, where, like an Uber is unlikely to go public in the US until very late, where in Canada, if a company like that existed, it probably would come public a lot sooner. So, there's one of those advantages. Now, of course, they're not all successful, but you get access to some great opportunities that typically in other parts of the world would wait significantly longer before they went public.
Another thing I think a lot of people might be thinking about is like, all right, okay, you're making the case. Canada's, high quality businesses, they go public earlier. That's great. There's a more fertile hunting ground potentially. All right, that's fine. But some people might be listening to this and saying, okay, so what? What names of late have had this amazing success that you keep bragging about, and did that uplisting or, have gone along their merry way. So, do you mind? I figure we should probably talk about some recent successes, that have done very well for a lot of investors, both you and I know, and please disclose whether you're still currently a shareholder in any of these.
You bet.
Okay.
Yeah. So probably the one that I've got sort of the most love for and has done extremely well for me, but a company called XPEL Technologies. XPEL was a company listed up here in Canada. We found it around the 15 to 20 cent level. I think it's currently trading around $48, $49. It uplisted into the US NASDAQ market about 3 years ago, and really saw the bulk of its move over that, those sort of last 3 years. That's been a fantastic example. Now, that's actually a company based in San Antonio, Texas, that listed up in Canada and has since gone, back to U.S. listing. I currently own a very small piece right now, but owned a lot a long time ago and did extremely well by it. So very, very happy about that. Another company that we did very well by, I'm no longer a shareholder, but was another U.S. listed or U.S. based company, a company called Hamilton Thorne. About 3-4 years ago, we participated in a financing at 10 cents. That company right now is at around $1.40. So it's been a pretty good return for us. Some recent companies, and one that's presenting at the conference, a company called Aurora Solar. We financed that company and were involved very early, around 10 cents beginning of this year. That's trading around 30 to 35 cents right now. So it's had a pretty good run here in the last little while. But then you get companies like ZBEC, that was a 20-cent stock 2 years ago. It's trading around $7 right now. I mean, there's just a number of these companies that I can go on and on and on. And a number, like I said, that are presenting that are not, still relatively unrecognized or unheard of in the bigger markets, but have done phenomenally well. So yeah, it's a fantastic hunting ground for a lot of these investors.
And Paul, real quick, are you currently a shareholder of ZBEC?
No, I'm no longer a shareholder of ZBEC.
I mean, I remember seeing, a company like TO Networks present at many events down here, and always asking myself, like, they're a TSX listed company. Like, why are they down in the US doing, all this marketing? But, that was another name that sold to, I believe it was PayPal for 300 plus million. I was not a shareholder at the time, nor am a shareholder currently of PayPal. But, so I mean, it's pretty interesting because, via the podcast and doing all the interviews that I do on here, it's really cool to see so many investors that are US based, that are looking outside the US. Not to say that there isn't a hunting ground down here as well, but they're looking abroad, and one of the things that I thought was really cool about putting this platform together, this event, is kind of showcasing another region where there could be a fertile hunting ground. So I mean, what are some other things that maybe any investor listening, whether US, Canadian, outside of North America, what are some other things that they should really know about investing in small, micro, nano cap Canadian listed companies? Like what from your vast experience and doing so well up there, like what should they know?
I mean, there's a lot. One thing is the beauty of small companies is they're typically a lot more transparent than big companies. So, accessing information is a lot easier when a company's got one or two things, business lines, or, the financial statements have, 20 expense line items instead of, 50 or 100. There's some great advantages to being a small investor working with small companies as well, because you're not I mentioned it earlier, you're not competing with some of the professional institutional type of money that really has a lot of resources to go after and analyze companies. Typically with these nano cap companies and microcap companies, you may be the first guy that has phoned a management team in 6 months asking about the business. So there's just less competition down market here, and if a retail investor really wants to sort of try to get some sort of advantage, they have to realize these things and again take advantage of the sort of the mispricing and opportunity to not compete with some of these big players.
Well, Paul, look, you and your team at Small Cap Discoveries are famous for combing through every single CDR filing on I don't know if it's still on a daily basis. I'm just going to assume it's on a daily basis, but I know you guys read quite a few filings. And so,
you
do. Just as I'd love to ask a war story type thing. When was there an experience where you came across a filing that you're like, what? Like, no, this is what's going on here. And you came to find that, this was just a hidden gem. Because you just comb through that filing and you're like, all right, I guess no one saw that.
You know what? All the time, we always tend to find it really is a function of just doing the work, looking hard enough, continue to look, and you'll find something. I guarantee people, if they put in the effort, they will find a gem. And it's just being consistent, persistent. As a matter of fact, I won't say which company, but there's a company that is presenting at our conference that is just that. We think it's a absolutely hidden gem that if you don't do the work to really uncover what the business is about and some of the nature of it, you're just going to miss it. And there's nobody's going to come and sort of point at you and say, hey, you got to go look at this company. And certainly no analyst is going to cover it. No big bank analyst or big brokerage firm analyst is going to cover it because it's small. It's not worth their while. And, they got bigger fish to fry. So I love it. I love, and yes, Bobby, we do every day go through every CDR filing in Canada. So we're meticulous about it. And the reason we do it is because every now and then we find an absolute gem like Expel or like Hamilton Thorne or like the myriad of others. And that's where we make our money.
I think that should be maybe your keynote speaking slot. I think that'd be cool, is like how to spot the hidden gems in CDR filings. That'd be really cool.
I can't give away all my secrets though.
Oh, come on.
Maybe a few. Yeah.
Maybe a few, one slide, a couple points. I think that'd be good. All right. So, I mean, I think we've done enough, hyping right? I think we've hyped up our event quite a bit right here. You know, I mean, is there any other hype you want to add to it? I mean, I know I could add more hype. I don't know how much more our audience wants to hear us being hype machines, but
no, look, I think we've already put together, I think, a great lineup of companies. There's a number of other companies that, you know, we're pounding really hard to make sure show up at the show because we think the audience will love them. The beauty, I think, of what we've done here, Bobby, and I don't know how many other conferences really do this, but it really is a function of quality over quantity. We're trying to get some of the best companies to really showcase what we have here in Canada. You know, I'm proud of the companies that we're presenting. I think there's definitely a number of gems that we've got here. And just, you know, I highly recommend everybody take a good look at the current list and stay tuned for the rest of the list, because you'll be hard pressed to find a better list of nanocap and microcap companies presenting anywhere.
Boom! There it is. That was pretty. That was. Yeah, I did that in our first announcement video, but that was money right there. Very cool. All right. Well, with that, everybody, thank you all for listening in to our learning a little bit more, not just about our upcoming event, but really what we're trying to make the case for is the opportunities that could be available to you if you just open. I mean, for those who aren't already looking at Canadian investments, what is available, and really expanding your mind and your investable universe. So with that, if you'd like to join us at the SNN Network Canada virtual event, it is taking place January 6 and 7, 2021, virtually. On our website, canada.snn.network. Be sure to register so that you not only will have access to set up your own schedule, but also have the potential to do one-on-ones with management teams at the event. Some of these companies do not present at a lot of events. I'm going to tell you right now. So you don't. That's another key. It's another key sales point to you that for anybody considering to join in. Some of these companies really they'll do one event a year, and this might be it. So I encourage you all, go register. Canada.snn.network. Go subscribe to Paul's newsletter. It's at smallcapdiscoveries.com. And Paul, this was a lot of fun. I'm excited. And yeah, man, let's do it.
Bobby, excited. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Very cool. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye now.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation of an offer to buy or sell securities. SNN Network, SNN Inc., and the Planet MicroCap podcast and the representatives are not licensed brokers, broker-dealers, market makers, investment bankers, investment advisors, analysts, or underwriters. We do not recommend any companies discussed. We may buy and sell securities in any company mentioned and may profit in the event those securities rise in value. We recommend you consult with a professional investment advisor, broker, or legal counsel before purchasing or selling any securities referenced in this podcast.